Namaskar, Vande Mataram, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Wish you all a very happy Independence Day. 73 years of independence, and India stands strong even today. When it was formulated as a nation, many predicted that due to the diversity of this nation, it would break down into pieces. But the people of this country have proved it wrong and will always prove it wrong. I'm Abhijeet Patil from the city of Kolhapur from southwest Maharashtra, a small city. Those who are religiously oriented, it is called as the Dakshin Kashi because there's a river called Panchaganga which flows through my city, and it's the seat of the revered Ambabai Devasthan. And today I'm here to talk on the environmental draft which Shree Anil Jawdekarji had proposed, and he had asked to send emails, regarding suggestions and concerns, etc., etc. I know the time has lapsed, and I have not sent an email, okay, because I know that you get a good reply from the concerned department. Thank you for your esteemed suggestions, etc., etc., and there the story ends. If you look at the changes in the environmental draft, they are disastrous. We are having a tremendous amount of dilution of the environmental law, the existing environmental laws which protect our environment. I come from the city of Kolhapur, and I can begin the story from my city. What happens when environmental laws are not implemented? I remember we prepared a film in 1995 on the pollution of the Panchaganga River, and the lake Rankala in our city. People of the city have been tremendously aware. Probably we are a city with the help of MPCB, the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, have filed the maximum cases in court or in tribunals regarding the pollution of the river. But even today, my river remains polluted. There were two beautiful streams somewhere in 1947 when we got our independence. One was called as the Jayanti, and the other was Dudhari. Dudhari, talking about the pristine milk-like stream. They supplied clean drinking water to the population around, and there were sources of fresh water of the river Panchaganga. In all the 73 years, we have converted those streams into sewage carrying canals, and they are beyond repair. You cannot restore their natural status, back. What happened? There was agitation. People pointed out that there was pollution. The cases were taken to the Pollution Control Board. Then the Pollution Control Board, who is actually responsible for taking the cognizance and suo motu action if there is pollution taking place. But no Pollution Control Board in this country is seen to be taking severe action against the polluting units. Whether it is sewage, whether it is industrial effluent, that is the industrial liquid waste which enters into water bodies, or whether it is atmospheric pollution, air pollution. And you can look at history, you can Google it out, and you can see the record of Indian pollution control boards with respect to actions which have been, initiated and taken on their own. Rather, we have a very sad story where, unfortunately, some bureaucratical elements, are in hands and gloves with the industries, and they pass on reports, environmental reports, the operational reports which are required for the industry to function, which are manipulated. And there were changes made by Shree Prakash Jawdekarji, and this is an appeal to Prakash Jawdekarji and all people who are viewing this. We are diluting this environmental protection laws, and it is going to cost us a lot, Jawdekarji. Please give it a second thought. And I continue with my story. And after so much amount of struggle to protect the river, even today the sewage treatment plant which is built is not functional. Both these two beautiful streams which are converted into nalas now carry 200 million liters of sewage per day into the river. There was a time when probably Kolhapur and Karad recorded the highest index of hepatitis in the country and probably in Asia. Why? Because of polluted water. We are a country where 1 lakh children die per year due to diarrhea. And there are so many causes for that, and one of the causes is polluted drinking water. 15% of the population of this country only has potable drinking water. 85% of the country doesn't have potable drinking water. And I was so surprised to learn today on the eve of Independence Day that there was a statement made that we are going to give tap water to the tribals. My God, this is bizarre. The tribals don't need your tap water. You need to give them their pure, unpolluted, non-contaminated lakes, rivers. They can take a handful of water and drink it. That's a blessing given by nature. What are we talking about? And on the same line, on the same context, what I'm trying to point out is that the changes that Mr. Javadekar is making in the draft, if you Google it out, you can just go onto Google and type about environmental draft and it gives you the details, and you can all read the draft and you'll come to this conclusion. Those who are not knowing about environment, what is EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment or environmental clearances, to tell you in simple man's language, if a project is to be carried out, whether a dam is to be built or a road is to be built or a railway line is to be laid down, or even a simple residential complex has to be laid down, or a nuclear power plant has to be laid down, the project report has to tell us what harm it is going to cause the environment, what are the measures taken to mitigate the fallouts of environmental degradation, if there are going to be any, and the people are taken into consideration. There were public hearings before for all EIS, and now this new draft has cancelled out almost more than 35 to almost 40 kind of projects which do not have a public hearing. Point number one. Point number two, Mr. Javadekar is dividing. Sir, I don't know why, and I think you should explain to the nation. What do you mean by strategic and non-strategic projects? So strategic projects, you can, if the government decides that A, B, C is a strategic project, and if this project causes pollution or any hazard, the bizarre thing is that if people are affected who are living nearby or far away from there, they cannot file a complaint. Violation of environmental laws cannot be pointed out by the people, but the onus of pointing out the responsibilities of the project owner or the project organization which is running it or the government. Do you think it is ever going to happen? There are so many cases in the history. Please open them, Javdekarji, and see that people had to knock on to the doors of pollution control boards, and then struggles and movements, and then the courts, and the only solace have been the courts, and thanks to those sincere, honest, sensitive judges who gave judgments to protect the environment. And my city is a fine example of that. And I request you, Honorable Environment Minister, that we are a land, which has the great heritage of Upanishads. And if you look at the oldest Upanishad, it is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad means, if you translate it in English, it talks about the wild, forest, the wilderness, and man and environment, have to be connected in the most sustainable manner. That is what, our scriptures, whether it is the Upanishad, whether it is the Ramayana, when Ram was asked for a boon, he said, give me flowing rivers, give me a clean environment. Even the flag of Ayodhya had a tree. And we have to remember this image. Every scripture of this country talks about the sun, the water, the rivers, the lakes, the mountains, the biodiversity, the animals, the plants as gods. They are real living gods. It is high time we start worshipping these gods. If you ask me, what are the temples of modern India? The temples of modern India or the temples of the modern world are going to be the forests which give you oxygen. Excuse me. And that is what we are going to destroy with an irresponsible, inhuman, insensitive environmental policy which is seen in this draft. You're taking away the right of the people to complain, to point out any discrepancy, any violation of that particular law done by that organization which will harm the people. You are sowing the seeds of many, many bhopals, sir. It is just like a person driving a car. He drives over the footpath, kills a few people, and he himself goes to the police station and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I killed 3 people, and okay, here's the compensation money. Okay, and leave me." That is what the so-called environmental, pollution causing units will do in coming future with this particular draft policy. Probably it might happen this, that if there is a violation by that organization and a common man goes and even says something in the media or anywhere in the print media, probably there might be action taken against him. We don't know what action they might take. That is going to be the nature. It is something so fascist in nature if you look at it from a very deep perspective. So we are a nation today where we have got more than 1 lakh children dying due to diarrhea, as I told you, and another 1.5 lakh children dying due to pneumonia. Not to mention about the encephalitis cases which are found in North India. Not to mention 3,000 children today in the country, quoted by a few organizations. And these organizations say, and I quote, that there are more than 3,000 children dying in India due to malnutrition. This is not because, we are not producing enough amount of food grain. There is no accessibility of it. The accessibility of food is very much parallel to accessibility of clean air, of clean water, and clean land, and that is what I mean by clean food. One very prominent Indian doctor in America has defined environment very beautifully. He defines environment as the propagation of the human body. इस मानवी देह का प्रसरण है वो. If you pollute the air, if you destroy the air, you're destroying your lungs, which are very important. If you pollute the water, you're destroying 66% and more amount of your body because it is water. If you're destroying and polluting the land, you're almost destroying the entire body. And I come from Maharashtra. Jawdekarji is from Maharashtra, and we have such iconic projects, successful, sustainable projects in our state. We are a land of Tukaram Maharaj, who says, "Vrikshavali Amma Soyeri," trees, forests are our friends. We have got Naneshwar Mauli. We have the great Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Amsa Aradhya Daivat hai. And he was a king who formulated and implemented an environmental policy which was to protect the forest for the benefit of the common man of his kingdom. Jawdekarji, I request you today to follow in those footsteps. And it's not difficult, sir, to follow in those footsteps. We just need the right technology, the right policy, the right willpower, and to keep away from crony capitalism. If you look today, when I'm talking of Maharashtra, I quoted it because we have got villages like Hivre Bazar and Ralegaon Sindhi. People who are viewing this, you can Google out Hivre Bazar and Ralegaon Sindhi. Villages which were scarce with everything, every natural resource. It was there but not tapped. And then, Hivre Bazar, which came on later into the picture. Ralegaon Sindhi was the first success story. And this comes from the self-sufficiency model of Mahatma Gandhiji. And Gandhiji quoted that the earth is enough to satisfy every man's need, but not for every man's greed. And we are living in a consumeristic society. And I read a beautiful article by some Sanskrit-based, net blog, and it said Ravan is a symbol of consumerism with, Ravan ki sone ki Lanka. And Ram was a model of sustainable development. And look at that. If you just compare, and if you want to learn from the Ramayana, look at the great King Ram. He was not only open to the scrutiny of his public life, but he was open to the scrutiny of his personal life also, and he followed what the people say. And here we are having an environmental draft policy which is taking away the rights of the common man from asking relevant, rational, intellectual, scientific questions. Is this democracy? The very essence, the soul of democracy is deliberation, it's dialogue. We are not taking decisions based on dialogue, based on scientific analysis, based on a meticulous research study. It's all random and haphazard. It's very easy to give slogans and give schemes and fool people. Look at this bizarre, statement. For the last few years, we are having very pathetic exports, and you can refer to n number of economical, research papers, even the governmental data, and you can see we are very bad with exports. And then suddenly we have, the statement today that India is becoming Atmanirbhar. Look at the amount of PPE and masks and the ventilators we are producing for the globe. We are producing for the globe. What nonsense is this, sir? Are we going to export masks and PPE kits and ventilators to the entire world for the rest of the 10 years and 20 years? Do you think Corona is going to remain there for 10 years? What kind of a logic is this? You cannot fool people by such statements, sir. And people have given you a mandate, and believe me, India is a very fantastic country. People believe in their leaders blindly. They're such a fantastic unit. They follow whatever you say. It's like hero worship. And then we have got people in the echelons of power who have their theatrics. And then people are chagrined at the end, and then they don't know what to do. Look at I'm sorry, but I have to comment on this, though I'm talking on environment, but it is related. Environment is related to everything, whether it is economics, whether it's politics, whether it's sociology, whether it is psychology. You look at demonetization, such a haphazard decision, and look at what happens when we have a system which can be even fooled. Fooled would not be a right word. I would say which can be, not, conscious and aware about this particular thing. In the Supreme Court, the representative of the governing system then said, sir, due to this demonetization, we are going to have 3 lakh crores of black money coming back to our treasury. And the Supreme Court said, wow, that's great, go ahead. It's for the people of this country. And then it is the RBI data. When the reality came out, 99% of the money came back into the banks and there was no black money. In fact, the amount of money spent to print currency, and demonetization is when you print currency which is less than the value of the currency which you're phased out. And we printed currency notes of 2,000 rupees. I really don't know. And then there was nothing asked about it, and there was nothing done by the Supreme Court as suo moto. Nothing. If this particular dialogue even is taken by the Supreme Court as a suo moto, it would be a big grace. Because I can quote what your government did with respect to the Land Acquisition Act. Okay, and the Land Acquisition Act, okay, you were trying to pass an act wherein there was a clause that if you take the land of an XYZ farmer or a person, and if that particular person feels that it's injustice, okay, the person could go to the court, provided he takes the permission from you. Are you kidding? You take his land away and he wants to go to the court and he's asking permission from you. Are you going to give the permission? Come on. A kid in 4th standard would say this is so invalid, and the Supreme Court struck it down. And I really wish that in this environmental draft, the Supreme Court takes a review. It's very, very essential. We are talking of coast roads. We are talking of ports built in the ocean and roads on the coast side. That's going to be disastrous. We have got the National Oceanographic Institute talking about 25% of land is going to be degraded, washed away into the oceans. It's old data. And we are playing with the coastal regulation zone? Come on, that's bizarre. That's not development. And people will feel, wow, there are connecting roads. Instead of that, you should transport bulk of the transport through waterways. Waterways are the cheapest. And we are doing something bizarre, something weird. We built toilets to stop open defecation. And look at that. Those toilets in most of the areas don't have water because there's no water supply. And if you could have had a little bit of vision in that, you are trying to tell us that the forests in this country have increased from 85,000 square kilometers to 98,000 square kilometers. That's your ministry data from 2015 to 2017. And my God, on one hand, we are saying there is forest degradation. Okay, and we are opening the forest for people. You have now a policy where you open the coal areas, and they are in rich forest areas, and there are MNCs, foreign companies coming in, taking away the coal. And if this are strategic projects, as you say, then we cannot complain against these companies, and these companies are going to earn profit and take the money out of this country, and then this is going to be something which will go on as long as they've given the power. Sir, you're opening the natural resources of this country for exploitation by the crony capitalistic people. Okay, and no MNC is going to come to your country to protect your environment, have a great corporate social responsibility, and give you things where you have a fantastic environment. You can find out in the pages of history, and you will not find it. So many beverages companies which came into India, exploited the groundwater, depleted the groundwater. My farmers don't have the groundwater, and that's the reality of this country. And when you talk of environment and environmental laws, in fact, we should be making much better environmental laws, sir. What are you going to answer to the generation in the future? A kid is going to ask his father, where is my clean water, my clean air, and my clean land, and my clean food? You're talking of smart cities. According to me, what's the definition of a smart city? A smart city is one where you get clean water, clean air, and clean food. We don't need huge, tall skyscrapers and malls and discotheques and all the gadgets, okay, and all the gizmo containing units, okay, for a modern society. You give a 4G and 5G to a villager, okay, in India, but you tell him that, well, you can't get clean air and clean water, okay, and to give that particular energy, you're burning coal. You have opened your coal sector tremendously. And believe me, there are technologies all over the world. You go to Netherlands, got floating, hydro tidal power projects. Why don't you get them, sir? And put it, we have got 7,500 kilometers of the coastline. You look at biogas. Go Mata would be the real Mata of this country. She can open the window of a new, okay, dimension of energy and conservation. If you look at 4 animals, okay, their dung is able to produce an amount of energy that is, okay, 2 kilowatt per hour, as per the uh, experts, blah blah blah. We can verify the numbers, but it is somewhere nearby, and we've got the highest number of cattle in the world, 5 million cattle. So divide 5 million by 4, and whatever number you get, you multiply it by 2 kilowatt hour. Look at the amount of energy we are generating, sir. If you could have just attached those toilets with a subsidized biogas plant, our villages would not have been dependent on your electricity supply. Or your LPG Ujjwala Yojana, you give an Ujjwala Yojana cylinder, and there is the next cylinder coming after eons, after eras, and that cylinder which is given, the first one, is used, okay, as a stool to sit on, and the farmer waits and waits and waits. Instead of that, make the farmer self-sufficient, sustainable. That's called farmer empowerment. That's called rural empowerment. Rural empowerment is not to take electricity from miles and miles and miles and supply it to the farms and the people out there. We have got 70% to 60% transmission losses. We need a decentralized energy system. National grids are not going to work in this country in this sense, in the true sense of sustainability. That is what I'm talking about. I hope what I'm talking is making sense. You have also made a rule in that draft that 100 kilometers from the frontier borders of India, you're not going to question any project. Absolutely sure. We will never question the military. We cannot. If this country is strong and standing strong, it is because of 2 very important pillars, the soldier and the farmer. And I say, with respect to education, the national education policy, why don't we have a national education policy? Article 21 gives us the right to life and property, and the Supreme Court has covered the forests also in that. And 21A talks about right to free education. Why don't we give free education to the children of the marginal farmer who is not having enough amount of land, or the landless laborer, and the soldiers, free education from first standard to PG? We are ready to pay the taxes. That is nationalism. And then we are having laws, we are having schemes, we are having such authoritarian systems made, and when something goes wrong, a common man can't ask you anything, and you hide it behind these changes. Look at the dilution of RTI. Sir, the dilution of RTI will not directly affect the lives of people as dilution of environmental laws is going to be. When you pollute a river, this river, its rejuvenation capacity is destroyed gradually. And if there is a court case which goes on lingering for 20 years and the river is polluted for 20 years, you cannot get it back, sir, like the streams in my city. Look at Ganges, and this is an evident proof that in the last 6 years we have done nothing with respect to, curbing the effluents coming from the industries and polluting the Ganges or the Yamuna, because nature sometimes reveals things which are hidden. And if you look at the Ganges today, it's pristine. You look at so many reports. You can see the fish in the river. You can see the Himalayas through the North Indian areas. And why? Because due to COVID, the industries were stopped. The liquid pollution was not getting into the river. The atmospheric pollution was stopped. So it means that if these industries start again and they work, these things will be polluted. This means that we have not stopped these industries from dumping the pollution. In such a situation, you're telling us that the industries will take action on their own and they'll declare that, oh my God, we have polluted the environment and we're sorry. No, sir, we cannot believe in this. It is not possible. We are talking of empowerment of farmers. The farmers don't need your digital thing. Look at the farmers of Hivre Bazar and Ralegaon Sindhi. They are exporting thing. There's no digitalization, no A, B, C, D schemes and this thing and that thing. The farmers know how to empower themselves. What the farmers need is just water, the right market, and the right technology. That is all the farmers need. They don't need, okay, the arms which are given to them. Unko bheek nahi chahiye. They don't want you to give money in their accounts. If Manrega has to be carried out and if you have to deposit money in Manrega and Manrega is implemented, it means that the area where you're implementing Manrega is not self-sustaining, whether it is drought or famine or anything. It means the people there are not self-sufficient. They're not able to earn. So this is such bizarre when we say, oh God, we are spending so much. We should be sad we are spending so much money on Manrega. We should be sad we are having Jan Dhan accounts. We have to give money to the people because they are not able to earn on their own. We talked about giving jobs. How many jobs we have lost in the last 1 year? 2.5 crore plus. What is the status of economy? And we still that India is doing great and good. We have got some great people who have adjusted the GDP. Even some people said, oh, GDP of India is going to be 2% more. And then thank God, the RBI came and said, well, it's going to be negative. It's going to be negative. It's fact. We have to be very realistic, sir. With folded hands, I request you, and with folded hands, I request the environmental minister as well as the people, we need to wake up. I don't know how we're going to do it, whether we're going to write letters, we're going to write emails, we're going to, appeal, write petitions in the most sophisticated, human, sensitive, legitimate, legal, sustainable way. Request the people of this country to reconsider these changes on the environmental laws. I request the entire youth of this country, because this country belongs to you. And the youth of this country is powerful. They can do anything if they decide to. And science is the most important thing. We are a country where a person comes and endorses something so bizarre that if you eat this particular papad, you're going to have antibodies against corona. My God. You've got statements like, okay, there's a cloud cover so the enemy radar won't detect us, so we can attack. You put a tube into a gutter and you get methane. Come on. This is so hurtful. This is so sad. We are a great country of scientists, Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Shushruta, Charaka, Sir APJ Abdul Kalam ji, Jagdish Chandra Bose ji. The Bose-Einstein condensate, the whole theory is named on an Indian. We are to be proud about this. We spend 0.7% on our R&D, sir. We spend less than 1.5% on education. We spend similar on health. What do you expect this country to grow with? Some abracadabra tool and you get a divine intervention and it works? No. We really need to have policies which work on the ground. And this can happen only, and I always say this, transparency is the biggest success of a democracy, and that is what you've been diluting for all these years. Since 1947, all the governments which have come, they have very gradually destroyed environment. We had a forest cover of 50% to 60% after 1947. We have brought it down to 22% according to your departmental analysis, and out of that, only 9% is very high dense forest. And you are talking about increasing the forest cover when there is forest degradation? Oh my God. So are you trying to say that there is social forestry which is responsible for increasing the forest? Because then we can have a satellite imagery and see if the wildlife sanctuary on its own has grown, a few kilometers away, spreading. That's fantastic if it happens, sir. Because if you're having from 85,000 square kilometer to 90,000 square kilometer, my God, that's fantastic. We could, give this idea to the whole world, make the globe a fantastic thing. England is spending $5 billion, for the Amazonian tribes to see that the Amazonian forest remains safe because the jet streams are moving in England, affecting the climate. Everything in the world is connected, sir. If you talk of a strategic project where you can't say anything somewhere in Orissa or Rajasthan or anywhere, and if the smoke is going up to the Himalayas and it destroys the glaciers, and Himalayas under a big threat. If the glaciers go, the North Indian rivers go, and our food bowl, the North Indian states go off, 60% of your food is not going to be produced. What will happen to this country? It will be a chaos. It will be a crisis induced by mismanagement of environment. And probably these draft clauses are paving the way towards that. It's an earnest request to the people who are watching this video. Please do something about this. We need to appeal. We need to appeal from the highest office of the Honorable President, the Honorable Prime Minister, the entire cabinet, the Lok Sabha members, the Raj Sabha members, your MLS, everywhere, wherever possible. Every student, every person okay, who is aware should be appealing for this. And I'm appealing to you. You can Google it out and find out every detail of this. I don't have to tell you the detail. I don't belong to a particular lineage of thought, philosophy, political party, nothing. I'm a common Indian. And I know when you talk something like this, when you talk against, they said that we have made these changes because the projects have been stagnated, hindered, because someone goes and files a complaint and the case runs. It's not because of the environmental laws. It is because your compliance for environmental protection is not there. If you're polluting the air, if an industry is polluting the air, and suppose you're having a chimney which is letting out pollutants, and the requirement is you put an electrostatic precipitator or a scrubber, you put it, okay, you're reducing the pollution. And if someone finds a case, the courts are so beautiful. You go and tell the court, this was the compliance, we have done it, okay, and that's it. You run the project. So the problem is not the laws. The problem is we want to bypass the law, and that is what we're doing. In certain countries, they first build the environmental treatment plant and then install the industry. We are a great country where we build the industry, go on polluting after 10 years. It has destroyed the environment, killed people. People get into movement, a struggle. They push the pollution control board officer, then the courts. And if we have a sensitive, sensible, environmentally concerned judge, he gives a judgment, and then he says, why haven't you implemented the DP? And the person says, oh, I was not aware of it. And they say, oh, it was there, but we did not do it. Okay, and now we will do it. Lowest priority is given in industries to expenditure on environment. I'm sorry to say so. And that will increase more and more with the dilution of these laws. And believe me, Indian bureaucracy and Indian judges, some of them are extremely intelligent. They're so headstrong. They're very clear, integrated. Actually, they are gods. A bureaucrat's office who is clean and integrated is like a temple. A court where a judge is very sensitive, and concerned about humanity, environment, sustainability, that court is a temple, and India runs on these people. Sir, by diluting these laws, you are not allowing these people to function. It is the fundamental right of every unborn baby in this country to have clean water, clean lakes, clean mountains, green forests. And you are trying to tell me that you're going to create an artificial forestry and create almost an area of, very large, amount of the forest. So it has taken millions of years for nature to produce this forest. And if you have this idea, you can always go and tell it to Germany and Scandinavian countries who are trying to develop their forests. Look at Germany. When there was a nuclear reactor mishap due to the tsunami in Japan, Fukushima, the German people forced Angela Merkel to stop nuclear power. There's no nuclear power in Germany. And then Germany shifted to thermal. There was pollution. And then they said, no, this is also, the carbon footprint is high. And then they started getting into solar. And they have got 800 to 900 patents. Sir, where are we? What do you mean by Atmanirbhar? Atmanirbharta doesn't come by digitalization. Even a small kid can prepare an app and get it digitalized. I'm sorry. You're selling some stupid ideas to the people of digitalization and then joining the Aadhaar card to this and a health insurance card and some insurance policy. There are states who have got better insurance policies, better public distribution systems than what you're talking of, one ration card in one country, etc., etc. There might be a state which might have much better environmental policies. What are you going to do then? You're going to overpower them and say, no, my law is more important than your more eco-friendly law? How do we handle this? It's very difficult. Look at the President of America, Donald Trump, who goes and says there is no pollution. And executive orders are flouted. And it has destroyed the whole fabric of human essence with respect to environment. Are we going to follow in the same line? I'm surprised that how can American people elect such a person who is so insensitive towards environment? And we today, we are a country, a lineage, which should be actually an exemplary country. People should say that if you want to see protection of environment, good environmental laws, sustainability, please go and see India. So we need and we dream of an India today on this Independence Day, and we demand it from you, sir. Why are we look at India again? We are having so many, when something happens, when you want to hide something, we bring out, notions and slogans and schemes of nationalism and patriotism and etc., etc., etc. And then people are like, oh, fine, you diverted their attention. How many days are we going to do this, sir? We can't do much more. Look at people dying in the corridors because there are no beds available in this country. This is a public healthcare system. I might have a health card and I go to a civil hospital, and if you see the situation in the civil hospitals in the country, sir, I doubt how many politicians have got themselves admitted in civil hospitals to get treated from their corona, ailments. Very few. Not even one person, if I look at it. So if you don't yourself believe in your government systems, how do we believe in your government systems who are going to declare the violation of the environmental law, sir? I'd like you to throw some light on that. And I'm ready to debate on this on any platform with anyone. And I know when someone says something where you've got a mandate and people say, okay, these are the people who've got the mandate, and if you're speaking against the norms and the whimsical decisions taken by them, you are an anti-national. I'm not talking about nationality or etc. I'm talking about environment and humanity. I'm not talking of any philosophical thing. I'm just talking of pure environment. And you can prove me wrong anytime you want. And Indian people are tough. Well, you use your tools and equipment and systems and this enforcement office and that enforcement office, and you go on harassing people. And tomorrow, I don't know, but for writing in the papers regarding some pollution happening somewhere, people might be booked. We don't know. And where are we going? Is this empowerment of people? Today, our Reverend Prime Minister talked about empowerment of people. Empowerment of people is freedom of expression and accountability and responsibility taken by the government of its people. That's very, very essential. And if with this dilution of the environmental draft, now look at, I still quote this, Lal Bahadur Shastriji when he was the railway minister. When there was a railway accident, when 2 people died, he immediately resigned. That's accountability, that's responsibility, that's the ethos, that's the ethic we are looking towards. We need to be extremely transparent, sir. I know there are some strategic projects. You can keep them. No one is going to come and see what you're doing in a nuclear reactor. But mind it well, your forests are going to be looked upon by the satellites. We had the Chinese incursion captured by the satellites, and there was no way. You had to admit because the imagery was showing it. And science has gone far ahead. You can't escape the eagle eye, the hawk eye of science and technology. And you're creating this dilution to escape this so that crony capitalism can grow and environment can be exploited. Okay, and then you have a report made by MS Swaminathan, put into the garbage bin. Madhav Gadgalji goes on, and you tell people, oh, this report is anti-people. And look at that. If you are now, look at Marine, my state, where landslide killed so many people. There are landslides happening everywhere in North India because these are the slopes of the forest. You've cut down the forest, you're planting sugarcane out there, or you're not protecting the forest, and the landslide take place. And this will go on as long as you do not have a scientific analysis of what has to be done to protect the environment. Are we ready? We are not ready for the global warming impact. We are not ready for anything. We don't have a blueprint. I'm so surprised. Delhi and Pune are, in the highest rungs of the most polluted cities in the world. Delhi would rank first in India and almost third in the world. And look at this, my capital city, Delhi, where my president, my honorable president, my honorable prime minister, my cabinet, my chief justice of India, everyone remains there, and that's the most polluted city. And we don't have even a blueprint created over a number of years. The governments which have come, they are to be blamed first, and then also every government which rules Delhi, which doesn't prepare a blueprint. Look at today, even in India, 70% of the agriculture sector is dependent on monsoon. The largest dams in the world are in India, and the largest amount of dams, unfortunately, are in my state, Maharashtra, sir. You are in my state, sir, Jawdekarji. And even then, 66% of Maharashtra is drought prone. Why? The aerial distance between Pandharpur, Sangola, Solapur from Krishna River Basin is just 150, and we can't even take water there for the last 73 years. And you got people migrating from these places and, getting in Mumbai, and Mumbai or Pune or any metro city has got slums. And you go and ask a person there, where do you come from? He says, I come from an XYZ Pandharpur area. I said, why? He says, I can't survive there. Why? He says, you don't have land. He said, why not? 50 acres of land, there's no water. If you really want to empower farmers, it's not by digitalization and opening their, you can sell anywhere. Sir, we need cold storages in every village. Prepare those cold storages, and the farmer can have a market anywhere in the globe, and give him the organic farming technique. Go Mata, as I said, you can produce biogas, energizers, going for wind energy, tidal energy, solar energy, biogas energy, and your carbon footprint will come down. Use the Gomata, to produce organic manures, which can very gradually shift our green revolution mistakes that we have made into organic farming, and we can become the largest hub in the world of organic fruits and vegetables and flowers and medicines, and we would show the way to the world. We have to really rethink. We have to be transparent enough. We are having theatrics. India is a country where people, as I said, believe hero worship is there. You have a theatrical performance and people follow you. Therefore, I think Bollywood exists. And this is a country, unfortunately, where there is more value and more respect, even in the social media, even in the media, for entertainers, for sports icons, for icons from different fields of fashion and style and etc. etc. But the scientists, the researchers, the ground grass level worker is not at all looked upon. This is a sad thing. You're talking of a national education policy where you're talking of vocational training. You come to Kolhapur, we have got an institute called ITI, not IIT, ITI, where vocational training is given to students who study till 10 and they follow a vocational training to become a plumber or an electrician or carpenter. They come from low economic class, and this has been done since long. So when you say, we are changing this law after 14 years, we are bringing a new policy after 15 years, there is nothing. It's the same old policy with a new wrapper. The wrapping is different. The structure is very hollow inside, sir, until unless it's implemented. Where are the teachers to implement this? The backbone of our education system is teachers. Where is your teachers training module? In the teachers eligibility test, if you look at a few years back, you can find only 2% existing teachers passed. It means 98% failed. And mind it well, environment is something which is different. You diluted the RT, it is not going to affect the people. But when you dilute the environmental laws, it's difficult. You know how corona has come, and there are research papers, biodiversity conservation, forests, lakes, rivers, and keeping the biodiversity intact, aquatic, terrestrial, every ecosystem has to be intact. And you can refer to the research papers where people have said when you've destroyed forests, viruses have jumped from animals to human beings and caused great damage. And corona is a fine example, sir. Look at the economic loss that corona is giving to you. And this is because of a bad environmental policy everywhere. If China would have been a democratic country, and if the viral spread news was given in the first year or second day, we would have been saved from the pandemic. And that is what is the strength of democracy. And you are precisely taking away this democratic essence from the environmental laws of this country. There are papers where there were fires, in Indonesian forests, and the bats migrated to Malaysia, and there were Malaysian orchards where the bats rained up. They ate the fruits and the seeds were dropped down. The orchard had pigs which were used for the farmers. The pigs ate those seeds, and the Nipah virus transferred from there. And we had an outbreak of Nipah in Kerala. And Nipah can be as vulnerable. We can be as vulnerable, and Nipah can be more dangerous, just like corona. It's just a matter of time. And forest destruction can and is going to lead to outbreak of such, diseases. We had an XYZ plant in India where it released its heavy water into a lake, and the villagers who used that lake far away from that nuclear power plant, they started, their limbs started getting shedded. Gradually that shedding, it came into their torso and they died. I remember Dr. Gadekar who did a documentary on this. Even there are so many documentaries in this country where people, and all over the world, there's a story which comes through in some of the documentaries that XYZ government carries out a nuclear blast, and you have to ask people whether they're okay with that. And the farmer tells the television documentary reporter that, they came and told me that this blast is going to give me good, meri fasal achhi aane wali hai. How far that is true and how far it is not true, the people of this country will decide. So every policy, sir, has to be first transparent, open to the people. It should be scientifically studied and then floated, not haphazardly. If you really want India to be a country which flourishes, we are talking of Atmanirbhar, we are talking of converting a raw material into a finished product. But the raw material into finished product, if this process will destroy our environment, it's of no use. That's the common sense. You just follow the module of cell Swayam Purna Khedi by the great iconic Mahatma of this country. If you don't believe in him, as many people, this WhatsApp university and everyone have distorted the images of people as they wish to. And people don't want to read, people don't want to dwell into the depths. Even someone can counter this video and talk XYZ, and they can do it. They have the power. That's what I said, the theatrics. It's just like that policy of, so many dictators all over the world. You keep on telling people this is right, this is right, this is right. And even if it is, tremendously false, at some point people say, oh no, that's right. That's the mass mob psychology. We really, the parents who are viewing this video, I really request you look at your kid. Because if you look at Shirol Taluka near my district, and if you look at Punjab and some areas in India, the amount of cancer patients are tremendous because of pesticides used in agriculture. We are having more than 124 pesticides used in India, which are banned all over the world. This is bizarre. Have you done anything with respect to that? No, we haven't. We have signed the 123 nuclear deal with America, and what does that deal talk about? More nuclear plants. where you've got a country like Germany stopping nuclear plants. All over the world, people are saying no to nuclear plants and we are increasing them. And then you'll call me anti-national. Oh, you're against development. Not at all, sir. You can claim that, but not at all. Because we have to learn from science. Science is the biggest, platform, on which truth is built. And you can't destroy it because it dwells with, proof, evidences, experimentation. And that is what India, its heritage and culture is known for. And to put it into perspective, we have to be very careful about so many things which are there around us, which are happening. We need to learn from them. So please, it's an earnest request to those who are viewing this video. By some or the other means, we need to, appeal, pray to the people who are in power to see that they reconsider these changes and bring in a polity which is really pro-people, pro-sustainability, pro-intellectuality, pro-rationality and pro-science. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Jai Maharashtra.